was wrong. It could have been just a blown fuse, but meanwhile people start tearing apart what they can see, and the next thing you know, something's not working when it could just been a fuse. Well, there's a little compartment on the back of the top over there. You can open it up, you can turn the switch on and off, you can put it on charge or whatever, and the fuse box is going to be right there with the cover on it, so it's waterproof. I'll spray it with some silicone just to protect it a little bit more, and we'll be all set. So I got to get these wires lengthened over to here. Now I'd like to put a plug of some sort so that I can just plug instead of trying to drill through. Now if I do drill through, it'll probably be down here, and I'll just put one of those rubber grommets like they're using here. Because we still have this plug, we have no idea where it goes. This plug, no idea where it goes. There's all kinds of plugs. I mean, they're all over the place. They don't fit anything. So where did they go? There's another one right here. So, alright, so anyway, that's where we're at. So this has to be fixed. It's got to be sanded down. Well, yeah, with an electric sander. And it's got to be filled in with Bondo. Same thing there. Sanded down to make it so that you're not going to see it. Then you got to prime it. And then you got to check it, because the primer is going to show if it's going to give you any indication that you've actually put anything on it. You know, and that if you sanded down the edges properly. In this one, I mean, it's hard to see that, but I mean, these are ready to. I could, if I wanted to, I could just pull that right out of there, but I don't want to. The paint's chipping. Yeah. Now this isn't from anything other than whoever uses this thing with the trailer ties it into the trailer with the ratchet straps using these. These are not used for that. Underneath, I've said it before, there's hooks bolted to the frame to tie this down with. Okay? That's what I've been using to lift it with. If I tried to lift it with these, this thing would have been shattered all over the place, all over the floor. So that's all I got to get done. Okay? Now, this has to be sanded down. I'm sorry. Flush. Got to be bondoed. Then you got to sand it. And then when I prime it, I'm going to see if where I sanded it shows, you know, as far as where the Bondo was or not, because it has to look original. It can't have any little waves, bumps, dumps, or anything else in it. So, and even though I tried to clean it, it still doesn't come out white. It just comes out a lighter buff. I mean, it looks like it was in the house of a smoker for 100 years. But this is basically sun and an age. Coastie doesn't smoke. Alright. So I have all this off. Now I got to take, or maybe, I don't know. I'm going to see if I can tape it off. Now what I mean by that, I may be able to just tape around this right up to the body part itself. Tape this off. Tape it off. This here way I can spray around it without hitting it. If I can't get a good tape onto it and look clean like it's supposed to, it's going to have to be taken off, meaning I take it off. Alright? Then I got to cover the eyes, everything in here. I'm going to have to stuff all this with paper. I got to take care of the eyelids. I can't be painting those. Then this here is not working right now, but this is what it's supposed to do. So there's servos in there, so I got to find out what's going on with that. The teddy bear. who the hell put a teddy bear on here? You know, I mean, I know they try to make it kid friendly, but you can do that just by keeping it real. You know, a few little things here and there is one thing, but you know, when you start putting crap on it that it doesn't need. I mean, if this doesn't draw enough attention to you without putting teddy bears on it, well then, why have it? But meanwhile, like I said, all these pieces are going to have to be either taped off or taken off. I'm hoping that I can tape it so I don't have to take it. And then what we do, this comes off. These, I think those will be easy enough to take off. These, it doesn't really make a difference. Those are easy. It's just a nut and a bolt, 3/8 24. This I don't know about yet. But then when they're all done, the whole thing gets primed. Everything is taped off, so nothing's going to get paint on it that shouldn't have paint on it. The whole thing, all of it, gets primed. Now this has to be taped eventually, but meanwhile, it all gets primed off. That's going to have to get taped right off the bat. This can get painted. It's a sprayer, but it doesn't make a difference. The dump, that has to get taped. But meanwhile, the whole thing gets primed after it's all taped off. Once it gets primed, we check it again. Then we light sand it, and then we may have to give it a little bit more prime. Once we're done there, then we have to decide what color we're going to do first. So let's say I'm going to do the blue first. Well, that means all the white has to be taped off. So I have to put a piece of tape, then I have to put paper, newspaper, and cover all this. I have to tape all that white off. This all has to get taped off. All this, right around into here, anything that's white, and black. Then I can spray the blue. Then after a couple of days, if everything looks good, I take all the paper off, the white. Then I have to do the same thing and put tape and paper on all the blue that I just did. That's why you got to wait for the blue to dry, because if not, if I put tape on it, I'm just going to pull the paint off. So anyway, then after all the blue is taped and papered and everything, then I can paint the white. But you can't do any of that until I actually clean it and sand it down lightly with steel wool or something, just to make sure that it's going to take the paint. So we got to do all that first. So there's more work in this than there is in painting a car. I've painted cars, you know, I mean, I know. There's just more work here because of more shapes and more little detailed stuff that is going to be either harder to take off or harder to tape. You know. Now again, I haven't been working on this every day. You know, I come back here, I work on it for an hour or two. The first couple, maybe the first week, I found a couple of bad capacitors in there that were blown out. So I ordered new ones and got those in there, so those are done. Then I had to figure out the pin configuration here to a point. I'm still trying to figure out why we have a 7-channel receiver over here, but we're only using one. But this was Velcroed right over here on the side. There's the Velcro for it. But what else goes into it? And then we got this, which we have no idea where it goes. You know, the air pump works for the horn, but the horn doesn't work. The lights turn on, but I can't get them to turn off. I don't know about this tank. There's supposedly a bilge pump in here, but don't ask me where, so I'm going to put one in. And instead of trying to use these, which is okay, I'm going to have it sneak out the back here. I got a little hole, and I'm just going to bring a little rubber hose right to it. I'll epoxy it in place, and I'll put a switch, and then I'll put the pump in here, so it'll just pump out there. Now I know this is more for effect, you know, but if we want to do that, I can just hook up a hose to this as well. So when you pump it, it blows a little water out of that as well. Because apparently they were all hooked up to this. So anything that does like the squirter, the pumping, the bilge pumps, stuff like that, all come out of that tank. So, and then I got this working. This wasn't working. It's not going to work now because I have the battery unplugged. But this is a center off switch, so I got that working. I forgot what that ran, but whatever it runs, it works. And that's about where I'm at. But like I say, I don't work on it, you know, all day, every day. And you know, I get an hour in here, an hour in there, a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, because sometimes you just gotta, I have a life, I got other things to do. This isn't a business for me, you know. And then everything I do, I have to try to figure out where it goes and what it's doing. A couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine, Ray, came over, who's also into electronics much more than me. However, he still dabbles in it, as I. But he came over, and when he looked at it, I mean, he wow, you know, I mean, like, you know, if he kind of realized what I was up against, because it's hard to tell at first. Yes, if I wanted to come up here and say, okay, I think that board is bad, I think that's bad, this is bad, get on the phone, call up the Coastie company, say, send me this, send me that, send me this, $500 later, $800 later, $1,000 later, we're done. Well, yeah, well, we still got to do the body work, you know, but for the most part, you know, so far, maybe $100 into it, you know. The thing is, they're not using them, so for me to have it here to work on it, you know, if I get a brain fart, you know, I can say, let me walk away for a while. I'm in the house, I think of something, I write it down. Come out here the next day, I check it out, you know. But now what they want is they want to be able to use it on open house. September, which is about 5 or 6, 7, I think it's the 17th. So this should really be done within the first week, or within the first 10, 12 days. So it has a couple of days just to sit. But at that point, you know, I got the wheels working. I don't know if they're going to work once the weight is on them. It works when it's hanging up. It should work when it's down, but I don't know. I don't know if the gears are stripped, you know, if there's a stripped belt, or bad belt rather, or a stripped gear, I don't know. But if they said, well, if you can get it so we can at least take pictures with it, you know, and and get it cleaned up a little bit. They're calling it a her. To me, it's just Coastie. It's a non-gendered. But at that point, I'm going to do what I can. Because I'd like to get it to the point to where when it leaves, I really don't need it to come back. You know, that type of thing. So if I can get the lights to turn on and off, if I can get the thing to talk. Ray bought 2 new pieces for 2 new pieces for 20 bucks. If they work and I can get it to talk, that's fine. As far as the voice changer or modifier, I don't know. As far as the playing music, I don't think that's going to happen because the radio looks like shit and the remote was totally destroyed as far as rust and corrosion. I have cleaned it up a little bit. I haven't had a chance to try it. But, like I say, is it going to work with the radio? I don't know. So there's still a lot of ifs. That's the problem. You know, and the biggest if was if I was back here every day working on it for 4 or 5 hours, it would have been done a long time. Well, I couldn't say a long time ago, but it probably would have been out of here by now anyway. Because I've had it, I picked it up I think on the 18th of April. Somewhere thereabouts. It was a Monday. It's probably the 2nd Monday of the month, maybe the 3rd. And yeah, I worked on it a little bit then. The first couple of weeks I was kind of going gung-ho until I started to realize that this thing is a problem child. So, but again, I'm always back here. Sometimes I won't do anything for a day. And sometimes I'll be on it for an hour, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, but that's about where I'm at with it. Oh, wait a minute, let me turn this off for a minute.